Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Before the video starts, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button for more videos like this. All the credit for these stories goes out to the amazing Reddit creators. Always there. There was a girl named Lila who was always there for everyone. If someone needed help moving, she was the first to arrive. If a friend was heartbroken, she stayed up all night listening. If a coworker needed a shift covered, Lila sacrificed her plans without hesitation. Yet, when her world crumbled, there was silence. Her mother's funeral was sparsely attended, her calls for help ignored. Lila brushed it off with a forced smile, burying her loneliness under layers of cheerfulness. "I'm fine," she would chirp when someone asked, on the rare occasions they even bothered. One day, while walking home late after staying behind to help clean up an office party she wasn't invited to, Lila noticed a figure in the shadows. It followed her, its footsteps silent, but its presence suffocating. She quickened her pace, heart pounding. When she finally reached her apartment, she slammed the door shut and leaned against it, trembling. But the feeling didn't leave. She felt watched. No matter where she went, no matter what time of day, the shadow was there. It never spoke, never moved closer, but she could feel its unyielding gaze. Weeks passed, and the isolation became unbearable. Lila tried to confront the shadow, screaming into the void, begging it to leave her alone. "What do you want from me?" she cried one night, standing in her empty apartment. The shadow finally stepped forward. It wasn't faceless as she'd imagined, it had her face. Pale, sunken, hollow-eyed, but unmistakably hers. "I'm here because no one else is," it whispered. Its voice was cold, laced with resentment. "You're always there for them, but who's there for you?" "I am. I always have been." The shadow smiled, a sharp and cruel mimicry of comfort. "You gave everything to people who left you with nothing. Now, I'll make sure you're never alone again." From that night on, Lila was truly never alone. The shadow lingered, growing darker and more solid as her real-world connections withered. People drifted further from her, uneasy with her strange new aura. In the end, the shadow consumed her. She became the very thing she feared, a ghost of herself, always present but unseen, forever waiting for someone to care. But no one ever did. Hell in an Instacart basket. Being an Instacart shopper pays decent money for a side gig. The downside is the part where you do someone else's shopping for them, lug it back to their house and then repeat the process. Honestly, I don't get why these customers, barring disabilities, can't just do it themselves. What bunch of lazy old gits refuse to get off their couches and get their hands dirty carrying a shopping bag? Like the deliveries before, I walk into the mall's grocery store and open the Instacart app to see what I'm picking up today. One by one, I start collecting items, the first being some plastic zip ties and duct tape. The next item is some bleach, which I grab from the cleaning aisle along with latex gloves from the list. Checking the app again, I retrieve 2 more products, a sharp knife and hacksaw. When I see that the following items are garbage bags and a shovel, alarm bells start going off in my head. Setting the suspicious items in the cart, I sense the uncomfortable stares from shoppers around me. I awkwardly double-check every shady item on the app to make sure I've got everything. Gasoline? Check. Sledgehammer? Check. Rat poison? Check. Finally, I bring my ridiculously questionable card to the cashier to pay and get this over with. Sir, can I ask what you intend on using these for?" The cashier winces, watching me place each ominous purchase on the counter. "Look, I know how this looks, but this stuff isn't for me. I'm an Instacart delivery guy," I try to explain. Unfortunately, I've already attracted the attention of the 2 mall security guards stationed outside. They take one look at my basket and immediately pull me aside for questioning. 30 minutes later, mall security finally release me from my handcuffs, apologizing for the misunderstanding. Annoyed at what must have clearly been a prank at my expense, I open up the Instacart app, ready to tear the Instacart customer a new one. Except they've just sent me a new message. "Thanks for keeping the mall security guys occupied for me. Couldn't have killed all these shoppers today without you." Attached to the message from Instacart shopper number 13825 is a photo of his bloody hands giving a thumbs up, in front of the mall entrance. He was here, in the building with me, the whole time I was shopping and detained. All this time I suspected the guy ordering these items was a killer, and I was right. But he didn't need them to get away with murder. And he didn't need an Instacart delivery man. He needed a poor schmuck to distract the security guards while he killed innocent mall goers. I was wrong that Instacart customers are all lazy slackers that don't get their hands dirty. This one gets his hands dirty. The doll in the storage room. When I was younger I'd go visit my grandparents all the time. They lived in a 1-floor house with an unfinished basement. I never liked it down there, it felt small for a big basement. There was a little door down there that was for storage and I always got a horrible feeling when going close to it, and let me add that this was a newer house that was about 6 years. Now during the time I was about 6 or 7, I felt so uncomfortable going down there even when I was with someone I didn't like it. I remember going down there with my grandma to help with something. She had to run upstairs because someone rang the doorbell. She said she would be right back even though she knew how I felt about being alone down there, but I nodded and said, okay. She was gone and I was alone and I started to get a bad feel in the pit of my stomach. I didn't move and didn't want to. Even though the lights were on now, this is where everything started happening and it still gives me chills. The lights started to flicker and I started to hear noises and what sounded like talking, and it was not coming from upstairs but in the storage room. I heard someone say my name. Here is the part that freaks me out the most. The voice sounded like my grandma. I was confused as hell. How am I hearing her when she is upstairs? I didn't want to move, but me being the curious one I am, I started moving towards the storage room door. The closer I got, worse the bad feeling came. When I got to the door, the lights turned off in the basement. I wanted to run upstairs and hide, go home somewhere that wasn't the basement. I heard my name again for the second time. My grandma's voice asking me to open the door to help her, so I did and I regret it. I couldn't see anything, it was pitch black. I couldn't hear anything but faint laughing that felt like forever, but then the laughing stopped and the lights turned back on in the basement and I felt a little bit better with the lights back on, but the downside, I could see a little in the storage room. I saw a small clown doll in the storage room and my grandma hates clowns with a passion and wants nothing to do with them. So why is there a clown doll? I have no damn idea. Then the lights turned on in the storage room. I saw red that looked like blood all over the place. I screamed and blacked out, and the next thing I knew I was laying on the couch. My grandma looking at me and asking if I was okay. I have no idea if that was real or a dream, but it sure as hell felt real. If you have any ideas, please let me know. My parents' haunted house. This may be too long for some people to read, but I had to share. This is the first time I am posting anything online about this. I am a 31-year-old woman, married, and recently moved back in with my parents due to moving back to the town I grew up. My husband and I are taking our time looking for our own place, due to wanting something nice in the area, and that is usually hard to find. This story takes place in my parents' house, starting back 10 years ago. A description of the house for a bit of content: it's a 2-story, brick, stone house in city limits but still surrounded by nothing but woods. You have to go through a garage that leads into the kitchen with the first bedroom to your left. Past the kitchen is the main living room and to the right is the hall that is very open. In this area you will find the main dining room and second living area, but if you continue straight you will see the staircase to your left, and even further straight is my parents' bedroom and bathroom. Going up the stairs you will come to the third living area. Yes, this is a huge house, with 2 sets of French doors side by side that lead to the outside balcony. Going straight, the sharp left leads you to the other 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. This is where the story takes place. The first time I stepped foot into this house, I immediately felt off. Like something just wasn't right. I felt a presence but I didn't know what or who it was. I brushed it off thinking I was just reading too much into it. I continued to feel this for the next couple of years, and because of this I didn't much enjoy visiting them. My parents liked to gamble a lot back then, so they would ask me to babysit my baby brother and sister one day on the weekend. My boyfriend, now husband, loved them, so he would always babysit with me. The first few times I really didn't pay attention to the feeling I would get because we would be busy playing or eating with the kids. After that, things kinda chilled out and we would end up watching movies until it was time for us to go to bed. Now, my husband is a freak of nature, lol. It's like he falls asleep the second his eyes are closed. Me on the other hand, takes me forever to get comfortable enough to wind down my mind. I also don't sleep well even when I do finally get to sleep. This night was the first time I saw and heard something in this brand new house. In this room, the bed is facing the doorway but not directly in front of it. With the double doors open, you can see the front of the staircase and all the way down the hallway. As long as the light is on, that is. This night only one of the hallway lights were on. I was laying in bed with the TV on but the volume down low so I could hear if one of the kids called me. I was almost asleep when I hear one of my siblings coming down the stairs. I open my eyes a bit and wait for them to get to the bottom, but they never do. I don't think anything of it, close my eyes and begin to drift off again. A few minutes later I hear again. So I open my eyes and wait, but again they never get to the bottom. This time I sit up and listen, a bit spooked but nothing I cannot handle. I get a bit nervous but still I go check to see if they're there and maybe they are scared to come all the way down or something. No one is there. Confused and thinking I must be dreaming it up, I go back to bed, this time closing one of the double doors. It was a few hours later, around 2:30 a.m., when I feel like someone is very near me. as if they are standing next to the bed right in front of me. Usually when I opened my eyes I would see the green glow of the alarm clock on the bedside table, but this time I saw nothing. It was pitch black. I couldn't even see the hallway light on, and the TV had turned off on its own. I felt like I couldn't move. I was awake now, and scared to my bones. I was finally able to call out my husband's name loud enough to wake him. He reached over and turned on the light, and right then the scared feeling went away and I was able to move. I freaked out and started crying. I couldn't begin to explain to him what happened because even if I had, he didn't believe in those things. So I told him I was having a nightmare and asked him to go check on the kids. When he came back, he said the kids were fine and got back in bed. With the light on, I was able to fall back to sleep, but it took me forever. The next day I told my mom about what had happened, and that's when she told me. She had been hearing footsteps on the stairs at night and even saw someone standing by the door at times. She didn't tell anyone because she did not want to scare the kids. This is when she told me what she had done. She wanted to know what was going on in her house, so she went and bought a voice recorder. One day she decided to use it and went upstairs while everyone was gone. She asked your typical questions of, "Who is here? What do you want? And why are you here?" And then said, "You have passed away and need to go into the light. You are not welcome here." The next day she decided to leave the recorder in one of the bedrooms upstairs while it was recording for about 4 hours while she was out running errands. I asked if she had checked it, and to my surprise she said she was too afraid to listen to it alone. I wanted to listen to it. Off we went to the computer, and began listening to it after it was uploaded. During the 4 hours she was gone, you could hear something clicking or tapping. Sounds of a drawer opening and closing, but we weren't for sure. Then we listened to the part where she was asking questions. Now you could hear a sound that resembled a fan or maybe static throughout the whole thing, so some sounds were indistinguishable. But the one sound we did hear chilled us to the core. When she asked, "What do you want?" it gave us an answer. Changing my brother's name for this, the answer was, Jamie. It didn't answer any other questions except for that one. I cried immediately. He wasn't having night terrors for no reason. Something was there for him. Every night, we soon asked a friend to cleanse the house. For a long time everything has been okay. My brother stopped having night terrors, my mom was able to sleep comfortably, and all was good again. Until now. I have been living in this house for a month and a half. For the last 3 weeks I have been seeing things everywhere. Especially when I am alone. Because of this, I won't stay alone anymore. I get this strong feeling of being watched. I had the feeling of someone pulling on my blanket at night. I think it is time for another cleanse. Oh, and just an FYI, I am the 3rd generation on my mother's side of the family that is able to see spirits. My dad's side of the family has, in the past before I was born, practiced black magic. I don't like speaking to them, and I won't dabble in any of the spiritual stuff most people do. I stay as far away from it as possible, and I recommend that you do too. Even if you are careful, these spirits can haunt for a long time. Even after you are gone. Update. So I'm sitting in the living room floor playing with my nephew. Mom's on the left couch and sister is on the right couch. My nephew has a toy piano that is made of cloth and can be folded up. This piano is behind us in the corner with all my nephew's other toys. We are talking and watching my nephew attempt to walk when this piano makes a sound. It's like someone is pressing the keys slowly. We stop and stare and then look at each other shocked. Then the keys are pressed rapidly until it finally shuts off on its own. Mom and I are not scared. My sister is terrified due to something happening to her last night around midnight. That is a different story I will be posting tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button for more videos like this. See you next time.